Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Fight the spread and take a stand against coronavirus. Wear a mask in public. Stay at least 6 feet apart from others. And get tested. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/COVID-19.
Happy Faith Friday. I am Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. As you heard, it's brought to you by SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Media Connection, and Agape Counseling and Training Center. Listen, if you are having some challenges coping with COVID, please contact the folks at Agape Counseling and Training Centers. Coping with COVID is also brought to you by In It Together and the Diabetes Advisory Council. They present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday right here on Coping with COVID. But it's Friday. It's Faith Friday. That's a time when we bring you information, stories to help motivate, inspire, encourage you. And these 6 people certainly have plenty of that to share. These are COVID survivors, couples who both had the virus at the same time. Irmo Mayor Barry Walker and his wife Susan join us from Irmo. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. Patrick and Sherani Patterson also join us.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us.
And Marvell, Mendenhal, and Richard Bell. We're going to talk to these 3 couples, COVID survivors, coming up next. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you and look forward to your stories. That's next on Coping with COVID. But first, your COVID community updates. President Biden has paused evictions and foreclosures in his early executive orders. Millions of Americans will get extended relief at least until March from being kicked out of their homes. The order applies to all rentals and federal mortgages backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Former President Donald Trump has hired a South Carolina attorney, Butch Bowers, to handle his second impeachment trial, recommended by Senator Lindsey Graham. 2 of Bowers' high-profile cases have been representing former South Carolina governors Nikki Haley and Mark Sanford in separate ethics trials. The Trump trial will begin in February to give Bowers time to prepare. And legendary baseball player Hank Aaron has passed away at 6 feet, 180 pounds. Aaron broke Babe Ruth's home run record, making his 755 career home runs the sport's golden mark. Aaron was a civil rights activist in his own right, and in addition to being in the Baseball Hall of Fame, was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2002. The 86-year-old passed away peacefully in his sleep and is survived by his wife, 5 children, and grandchildren. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID testing in South Carolina. Visit scdheck.gov for more information on COVID and also flu tests. Also, you can visit gogettested.com. Now, when you go to this website statewide, you can find out where you can get a COVID test and actually make an appointment. I went a couple of weeks ago, in and out of there in less than 30 minutes. Please make sure you go get tested. It's free and it's definitely necessary. Check the screen at the bottom for ongoing information about COVID tests in and around South Carolina, plus information about hosting a COVID screening in your event or at your community. In-person COVID screening is also offered if you or someone you know is immobile, offered by Richland and Clarendon County paramedics. Call 911 for information. The DHEC Care Line is also open. Not only can you get information on transportation, COVID information, but you can also schedule your COVID vaccine locations and times. Again, the information is scrolling on the screen right now. Check the screen for COVID vaccination information at Lexington Medical Center. They are also offering COVID screenings. And if you are a veteran, the VA is offering COVID screenings for vets who are 70 or older. Again, that information is on the screen right now and will be scrolling throughout. Prisma Health is offering those 70 plus that are unable to schedule their COVID vaccine online to make an appointment in person. Now, people can do that statewide at any Prisma location except Richland County. In other news, the South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Services continue to offer their free mortgage and rental information. The City of Columbia has their 6-month payment plan for water bills. If you're behind, take advantage of that. And for help with virtual learning and working, visit Rashonda Pratt's YouTube channel. Go over there, like and share and follow. Now, Dominion Energy is awarding $500,000 in scholarships to African Americans and other minorities in high school and college. Visit the Dominion Energy website for more information. And hurry, the application closes on January 26th. The South Carolina Association of Counties is accepting applications through February 1st for $2,500 scholarships. This is for graduating high school seniors in Orangeburg, Dorchester, Richland, Saluda, and Spartanburg counties. Visit the SC Association of Counties website and check the screen for more information about how to apply. I'm Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Tailor-made production page on Facebook is the home of Coping with COVID. Would you do me a favor and go over there and hit like and follow? Not only can you watch Coping with COVID weekdays right here at 2 p.m., but you can also get all of your COVID-related updates. We're also streaming live on YouTube. I want to say hello to all of you YouTubers. Please hit the subscribe button. And we also have a presence on Twitter and also on Instagram. One more thing I want to tell you about. I did mention that In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council sponsor Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday. Well, if you are having some problems either managing your diabetes or you have pre-diabetes, they are getting ready to start a brand new class. It's an online class, and it's courtesy of In It Together and Salubris Pharmacy. So you see the information on the screen. You can get some help. You can get control of your diabetes or pre-diabetes so that you can live a happy, full, and healthy life. And the folks there are going to help you with that. It's Faith Friday, and today we're talking about COVID survivors, couples who both had the virus at the same time. Irmo Mayor Barry Walker and his wife Susan join us. Also Patrick and Sherani Patterson and Marvell Mendenhal and Richard Bell all join us today. We are so glad to see you guys. Thank you again so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Tre.
Absolutely. Well, Mayor Walker, I want to start with you because you were actually on the show, several months ago. And I remember when we were talking and we were talking about that's right before everyone had the mask ordinance. And you were talking about putting a mask ordinance in Irmo. And I remember you said that when your wife walks through the door, you make her strip down. And we kind of laughed about that. But so what happened? Did she not strip down enough? What happened? How did you guys catch COVID?
No. Remind me about that.
Yes.
My wife came home from work and she said she didn't feel too good. Well, you can tell her that.
I had a cold. I thought I had a cold. Usually, I catch a cold in June. Very rarely do I ever catch a cold any other time.
Wow.
And this is September the 1st, and I wasn't feeling that well. And then September the 2nd was a Wednesday. I'm off from work. So something told me to go and get checked for COVID.
Really?
And I just went on and got checked. And I didn't think anything of it. And I got the rapid test. And I was sitting at home on the couch. My doctor called me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I took the test at 1:15. And she said, "You are positive." I almost fell off the couch. He said, He said, "Go upstairs. Go upstairs."
Immediately, she quarantined upstairs, and I stayed.
Well, by that time, she had done infected everybody.
Yeah.
Oh well, no, I was, and then I went and got tested, and I was negative. Okay.
Really?
Cool. Yeah, I said cool. I didn't get it, so I wore my mask everywhere outside of the house. Everywhere I went, I wore a mask, but I did not wear a mask inside my house.
In the house where your wife with COVID. Yeah.
Right. Because I had her upstairs and I was downstairs, and I thought it was cool. But something happened. I must have walked in the room or something. I don't know. A week later, I'm positive with COVID. And not only am I positive, it laid me down.
Wow. Well, we want to get back to you because I want to know a couple more things, because you said she was upstairs, you were downstairs, but how was she getting her meals?
Aha.
Do y'all have a kitchen upstairs too?
Leave it at the door, leave it at the top of the stairs, and say, "Okay, food's ready," and run downstairs.
Wow. Yeah, Marvell. Go ahead, Mrs. Walker. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't really think I was sick. I wasn't really sick. All I just thought I had a cold, and I just took my Zicam, and then the next day I was feeling better. Gradually came downstairs, get my water, come get this, come get that.
Meantime, I'm going down south quick.
She's fine. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But first, I want to ask Marvell, you and Richard, how did you guys find out you had COVID, or how did you contract it?
Well, at first, I had a tickling in my throat, and I didn't pay any attention to it, and I had to go to Alabama for a conference.
Let me stop you right there. Marvell has this look like
on a plane.
Yeah, I went to Alabama on a plane for a weekend for a conference. So when I came back, I still had the tickling in my throat. It wasn't any worse. So I suggested that we go to get a test.
Mm-hmm.
I came back positive. She came back negative.
That was on a Tuesday.
So I started, about 3 days later, she started coughing and stuff. So I said, we need to go back and get you checked.
And we quarantined each other. I put him in the bedroom and I was out here on the couch. Yes. And so we went back on that Thursday. Right. He was on the couch. He kicked me out of the bedroom. But on that Thursday, that a couple of times I wasn't feeling well. I just kind of, I woke up with a real bad headache that Wednesday night, and that Thursday morning I still wasn't feeling too good. And he was like, "Oh, you going to get tested?" I said, "Okay, if you say so, we going." So we went to go, and we sitting in the car, and I'm like, "Lord, please don't let this thing come back positive." And sure enough, that Thursday I came back positive, and we both had it.
Right. So, Richard, do you have any idea where you may have contracted it?
No, I don't. Really, I had a meeting the day before, but everybody had on masks, so I'm not sure.
Right.
But I do know one thing that I would recommend to people is like when they when you find out you have the COVID and they tell you to go home and quarantine, you don't just go home and just quarantine. Go to your doctor, because you never know what's going to happen. You start getting worse and worse. They don't tell you what to do when you go home. And that's where a lot of people, I think, get so bad to where they can't come back because they don't get any treatments.
Wow.
All they do is tell you to go home and quarantine yourself, and that's it. So I do recommend that if they tell you that, you go to your doctor and let your doctor tell you what to look for, what to do. And even though I did that, I got very sick. I was in the hospital for 3 days.
Oh my goodness!
And a lot of my vital signs was shutting down when I got to the hospital.
Really? He had to have a blood transfusion. His kidneys started shutting down. He was very weak. He was weak to the point where I had he had to lean on me, and I had to drive him to the emergency room, which scared me a lot. And when I think about it, I always tear up because he got worse. I mean, we thought he was getting better, but it was getting worse. And had he not gone, he could have died.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking to couples who survived COVID together. Thank you so much for joining us. Please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. Renee Brown said she can't hear. I want to make sure, Renee, that you can hear. I know the walker's volume was a little bit low earlier. I want to make sure you can hear. So if you'll put that information in the chat. Sherani and Patrick, before I get to you, I want to ask you, Richard, so when did you go from bad to worse? Because you said, you came home, you found out you had COVID, you went to your doctor, came home. 3 days later, Marvell tested positive. So how long did you have it before your health started declining?
It was a little over a week.
Wow.
I had it, and I was getting weaker. And when you are really sick, your mind is not where it's supposed to be, and you do not think about going to the doctor or emergency room. People that live by themselves, I think that's where they get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I was not. It looked like everything that I was drinking was coming back through me, going through me, because I had the runs the whole time, and no matter what I did, when I went to the restroom, it just come out and it just dehydrated me, and that was my big problem.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I noticed that he wasn't coming out the room as often as he had been previously, and I was like, something's not right. So I guess that second instinct or women's tuition just kind of kicked in, and I realized that he was in trouble. He was very dehydrated.
Right, because he didn't tell you. He didn't say, I'm not feeling right.
No, he didn't. Yeah. And I don't know if it's a man thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure that's Patrick is shaking his head. Yeah, that's the macho man thing. I'm going to be all right.
I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah, and then you die, leave me here all by myself.
Right. And that's what I thought in the parking lot when I dropped him off at the emergency room. I was like, because they wouldn't let me go in with him. So when I dropped him off, my mental stability just was like, is he gonna come back out? I can't go in because I've been tested positive, so they wouldn't let me in. And so I began calling his family and just letting him know that he was at the hospital and kind of not doing too well. So
yeah, you know what, it's so many layers on this COVID thing, because not only, as you all have said, does it attack your physical body, it attacks your mind, because you wonder what is going to happen to me. This is new, it's different. And then especially if your mate has it too, you're thinking, what's going to happen. Now, Mayor Walker, what you said that once you found out you had it, you got progressively worse. What was the timeline between your finding out you had COVID and then your health spiraling downward?
All of a sudden, I couldn't taste or smell anything. So I'm a dialysis patient. So when I went to dialysis, they said, "Oh, you can't smell nothing. Oh, we're going to put you in an isolation area and get tested." Well, I did that, but when I say I got progressively worse, I came home and laid on the couch and could not move for a week.
What? Oh my goodness!
I could barely get up to go to the bathroom. I was out of it, and I couldn't eat anything. It was a good thing I lost like 15, 20 pounds.
Yes.
Thanks to COVID, but I couldn't say anything. I couldn't do anything. I was physically like I ran a marathon.
But
say that again, Miss Walker, because we can't hear you. You said you got him what?
I got him to his dialysis appointment.
Okay.
So all he could do, and a lot of times they told me, take him to the hospital. He said, you better not take me to the hospital.
No.
Better not. No. Ginger ale, lots of.
Well, I saw that you guys posted that ginger ale and zinc got you through, and I want to talk about what got each of you through. But and I am going to come to you, Patrick and Sherani, but I do want to stay here for a second just to ask, once you were on that couch, so then did you, Miss Walker, come from upstairs and then start taking care of him? Because you still had COVID.
Yeah.
And I guess at this point you thought y'all can come on together because you both had COVID at this point.
Can't get no more COVID than shit.
Right, you got as much COVID as you're gonna get, right? Sherani and Patrick, you guys were very vocal on social media about your journey, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted you on. And because of all of you, there's such a lesson to this for people. How did you guys contract COVID?
So for me, I was the first one presenting symptoms, I would say. And at the time, actually, I wasn't even thinking that it could be COVID. All of a sudden something just hit me and I didn't feel like myself. And even in that moment, I knew something was wrong, but didn't know what it was. So I was still moving about, working, doing whatever. And then I said, maybe a couple of days after that, I told Patrick, I was like, I think we all need to go get tested. So that's me, him, and the girl.
You're in the house with your two daughters, right?
Yes. So they're looking at me like, you the one sick. Like, why we gotta get tested?
Right.
So as it turns out, at that time, that's when I started to feel the tickle in the throat. Things just progressively started to happen at that time. So we didn't get rapid testing. We went to an urgent care center at that time because it was like, yeah, let's go get it done. So we did that. Maybe it took them about 2 days to call back with the results. By the time they called back, I was already like in the bed. So we had started, I was downstairs, Patrick was upstairs. And when
at that point, Sherani, you're thinking, I probably have COVID.
Because I was feeling pretty bad, like energy just drained. Cough, the cough didn't come immediately. That probably came like a week into it. So cough was really bad, like that was getting worse. So by the time they called and gave us the results, I was sharing that with the girls and Patrick. And so our oldest daughter was positive. I was positive. Patrick was positive, and our youngest daughter was negative.
Oh my goodness.
Immediately we started to they each went in their rooms. I was downstairs in the guest room. Patrick was upstairs in the bedroom. So we just kind of communicated on our cell phones. But of the three of us, what I thought was interesting, because like I said, my oldest daughter, then Patrick and myself, we had it, but the symptoms varied between three of us in the same house.
Wow.
And so when you talk about food and how we got things, Patrick was feeling bad, but he was feeling better than I was.
Gotcha.
So he was the one spraying down, wiping down the kitchen, calling, okay, you come get your stuff, cleaning, wiping. At that time, everybody did masks. And so, yes, Mayor Barry, they were like putting my food at the door. They didn't
like, throwing you a hamburger, catch.
Cold hot dogs.
So, Patrick was the one definitely doing that. And by the time I probably was into it really bad. I think, again, we all experiencing different symptoms. Our oldest, for example, she didn't get sick at all. I mean, we called to check on her. She's trying to get somewhere to use a gift card that she had. And I'm like,
ma'am, stay off.
But, and then Patrick can tell you about his symptoms, but trying to figure out, we did that whole sitting down, trying to think about where we were.
Where you were. Yeah.
And I was definitely, again, like Mayor Barry, I'm like, before you come in, everybody, we went to the store, everybody take off what you have on, let's get these clothes to the wash machine. Like it was all of that. No shoes in the house, spraying down. We leaving grocery outside a couple of days before we bring it in. We wiping everything down, taking stuff out of packages. We were doing all of that.
Yeah.
So it was just, as we thought about it, I had a girlfriend that had a gathering, and it was, as I think about it, it was small. She actually had family from South Carolina that came to visit, and we were over there that evening. that would have been the only place like out other than us going to the grocery store and just us being inside. The interesting thing about that is when we checked back with them, like nobody was positive for COVID. Nobody had any symptoms. Because even when I had shared that with her, she immediately went to go get tested.
Right.
So it's, I don't know, just a mystery around that part, because the other places outside of that we had gone was to the grocery store bag.
Yeah, we're talking to 3 couples who each had COVID. Their whole family had COVID. Thank you, Renee Brown, Dennis Gill, and Credette Nausiard. I think I pronounced that right, for watching. Please continue to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses, because despite the vaccine, despite the treatments, despite masks, despite social distancing, despite hand washing, folks are still getting COVID, and the numbers are not going down. The numbers continue to go up. So this is still such an important conversation. So let's talk a little bit about symptoms. Mayor Barry, I know you said you lost your sense of taste. Did any of you lose sense of taste also? Richard and Marvell did. No, you didn't. What about you, Pat?
I did. I lost taste and smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like wearing cologne, and I remember the day I got up, and I kept spraying. Sherani said, "We get it, we get it," but I couldn't smell it.
You couldn't smell it,
right?
Oh, you thought something was wrong with y'all?
Oh, with cologne here, but that was one. And then we went to Wendy's, and I got the sweetest strawberry lemonade drink just to test. And when I got that drink and it tastes like water, I said,
"Really?
Clearly, that's not there anymore." But it was scary. It was scary.
Was it scary? Now, okay. Aside from symptoms, what did it? Mayor Barry, you and again, you, Richard, you had to go to the hospital. Mayor Barry, you said it put you down. Did it affect any of you kind of severely like that? I mean, Sherani, you said one of your daughters didn't have any symptoms.
No symptoms.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad for me. Out of the 3 of us, like I said, the cough started getting bad. My mornings and my nights were like the worst for me. So it was like really taking everything I had to get this cough up. And I did go to the emergency room. That was after my chest had started hurting. And I was just thinking to myself, okay, Lord, I don't want to lay here and have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to the emergency room. Patrick was like, Marvell, like Richard, like you going to the hospital.
Right, come on here.
Put your shoes on.
Yeah. Right, come on.
I can't raise these girls by myself, girl. Come on up here.
You know it,
Ronnie. Richard was like, you going to get that test book.
Yeah.
We went to the emergency room, and so I told them, that I had tested positive for COVID and I was having these chest pains, and I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't having a heart attack or anything. Yeah. So they, of course, checked for all of that. What I did find out is that I had pneumonia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was brought on by the COVID.
Yeah.
Wow.
So dealing with that, the only thing they gave me was the antibiotic to treat the pneumonia. The physician that I saw that evening told me he couldn't give me anything for COVID. There was nothing for it. He said, unfortunately, he said, you're young, you'll get through it. Unfortunately, you just have to go home and kind of let it take its course. Yeah. And prayerfully, you come out on the other side of this. But they didn't give us anything. And as a matter of fact, to Richard's point, I know when the health department, when they had started calling, one of the things they did say to us was, do not go to your physician. And she had said that they didn't, because of course I was like, well, why shouldn't I go to my doctor? And she said they didn't want me to infect other people in the office that were actually there. So don't spread it. Stay, if your symptoms get worse or if you can't breathe or whatever, then come back to the emergency room.
Well, what my doctor did was when I went to call my doctor and told him that I was positive, He scheduled me to come in, and
okay.
they had a room set up out of the way from where the other patients was, and I went through another door.
Now, was this at the VA, Richard? Because I know you're a vet. No, okay.
This was my private doctor. I have an outside doctor in the VA. I go to my outside doctor for serious stuff.
And the same thing with me. I called my doctor's office because I wanted some medicine or something. I wasn't trying to hear them say I was positive and nothing could be done. So I called my primary physician and they got me in quickly. And again, they used a different door because they had a side for people who had tested positive for COVID, and then they had their regular side. So I went to the side, of course, where they were treating, and I ended up couldn't breathe. My body was aching real bad, and so they gave me a breathalyzer for the breathing, and they gave me an antibiotic for the symptoms of the pain and the chills and stuff.
Right. Did any of you have pre-existing conditions? I know Mayor Walker, you said you had been on dialysis, so obviously you had that. Any of you had pre-existing conditions?
I do. I have high blood pressure. I don't really have a bad heart, but I have some problems, because of the high blood pressure.
Right.
But I was fortunate that it didn't affect any of that. But the blood, I don't know what happened because I wasn't bleeding anywhere. But I had to have blood transfusion, and they took me off of my blood pressure pills for a month.
Wow.
So I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Ms. Walker, did you have, I saw you shaking your head when Richard said high blood pressure. Do you have high blood pressure also?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I really sick. I have COPD also.
You have COPD. Yeah. Did you have problems breathing?
No, I never.
When you had COVID? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting. And what about you, Patrick and Sherani? Had you guys had pre-existing conditions?
No, we were pretty good. I would say once I got diagnosed, I could definitely feel the up and down the stairs was not the normal up and down the stairs. It was heavy breathing.
Right. We're talking to Patrick and Sherani Patterson, Marvell, Mendenhal, Richard Bell, and Mayor Barry and Susan Walker, COVID survivors, COVID couples, when everybody in the house has COVID. When we come back, we're going to talk to these couples more about their journey. If they'll take the vaccine or donate plasma, of course, we hear that helps some COVID survivors, and also what helped them. We're talking to COVID survivors, and we'll talk to them more next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together, and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
People will be able to look 100 years from now. They will know how we got over. This makes it even more important that we shine this light.
Part of it also wasn't the fact that we couldn't have the physical graduation, but I also couldn't celebrate with my family out of town.
For me, I feel like this is a new normal. This is not going away anytime soon, I don't think.
Anything that's happened before can happen again. And the same thing is at play with this virus.
We are no longer in a building, and we've talked about church being, with us, in us.
Have you traveled abroad? Late in the past 6 months, we were trying to trace it back as early as November.
It's Faith Friday on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us. Want to remind you to please continue to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. This week marks 1 year since the first case of COVID was detected in the United States. Today, 24.7 million people have had it in the United States, 96.2 million worldwide, and in South Carolina, almost 500,000 people have contracted the highly contagious and even deadly virus. And like I said earlier, with mask wearing, social distancing, washing your hands, and even the vaccine, we still have to be careful. And our guests today know that firsthand. We are rejoined once again by Irmo Mayor Barry Walker and his wife Susan, Patrick and Sherani Patterson, and Marvell Mendenhal and Richard Bell, all COVID survivors. They dealt with it in the house together, and they are here to tell the story.
Amen.
That's right. So listen, I saw on social media, Mayor Barry and Mrs. Walker, that you guys talked a lot about ginger ale and zinc helping you through your COVID battle. Ginger, I know, I've heard about ginger and zinc both. Tell me how you use that.
Well, remember now, I told you I couldn't taste or eat anything for a good week. And a friend of mine made this soup called Jewish penicillin. He bought me over.
Jewish penicillin. Wow.
It's called Jewish penicillin. I don't know what he puts in it, but whatever it was, the first time I could taste something, I could eat something. That was after about a week of not.
Well, listen, you might want to get back in the restaurant business and start selling Jewish penicillin.
Ship some
But he made this big pot of Jewish penicillin, and again, the zinc and the ginger ale is all I was nourishing off of, and gargling with Listerine.
Listerine, old school. Vicks Vapor Rub. Look, I got some Vicks Vapor Rub with me right now.
And I mean, even today, when I think I'm gonna get a cold or feel something tickling my throat, I do the Listerine gargle and it knocks it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was bad. I mean, God, Mr. Bell was in the hospital. I can imagine, what he was going through. And they wasn't going to take me there because I said that was a death sentence to me. Being a dialysis patient and going in the hospital. So I was like, no, I'll ride it out here.
Yeah.
But,
what about you, Richard and Marvell? I know, Richard, you said your doctor gave you some instructions. What did you guys take that kind of helped relieve the discomfort?
Well, after I came back home from the hospital, I just had to make sure that I drank a lot of liquids, juices, that type, water, and eat the best I could because I had no taste. And water it tastes so bad. It was hard to drink or eat anything. Juices, I love orange juice. It had no taste. Nothing had any taste to it, but you had to force yourself to do it.
To eat, yeah.
Yeah. That's what really helped me come out of it, along with Marvell insisting that I do something.
Yeah, we kind of took airborne, zinc, vitamin C, D3, potassium. We was over in the place drinking orange juice, all that. I was like, we're gonna get better. We're gonna get better one way or another. We're gonna either drink ourselves to death off of orange juice and water and whatever else gonna keep us hydrated, but we're gonna make it through. And just prayer and God just giving us the opportunity to still be here and to tell the story, because there's so many who aren't telling the story, who didn't get a chance to tell the story. And that saddens me. And I tear up again. I'm a crybaby. I'm sorry. But it's just sad that, again, I want to reiterate with Richard, once you get tested, go to your doctor. Do not be alone. I think had he been alone, I don't think he would be here today.
Wow.
Wow.
We did a couple of old school things. either your mother or my mother suggested we get the biggest pot we have. We had orange peels, lemon peels, ginger, and what else? Turmeric. We boiled it, and literally we would take turns putting our head over that boiling water to absorb the steam.
Right, and they clear you up.
And it was, I don't know, Sherani was talking about her morning symptoms, but she would spend 2 hours every morning nonstop coughing. And for me, it was the most handicapping thing I could experience because I couldn't touch my wife.
Right, you couldn't help her. Yeah.
That was hard for me. That was very hard. When we started the pot, and I heard her.
You mean the pot of? Let's get that clarified.
Oops.
Right.
You can't delete that, can you, Trey? You can't delete that.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, thank you, Trey. But that we got into a rhythm of like a schedule of each of us taking turns, and even our kids were not sick. Everybody was gonna get some of that boiling water.
Right. That pot of boiling water, right?
It cleared totally.
Yeah.
Named you of the mucus, and that was like something I've never heard of before, but it's a practice now.
And that's the other thing I was going to ask. Are you all still doing some of this now?
Yeah.
That you did before?
Yeah.
I mean, because these are practices that help you with your immune system.
Yeah.
And I think we've learned that you can get COVID again.
Yes, you can.
And you can. I know someone who has had it twice. Well, and it's just, I know someone who lost like 7 family members to COVID-19, but yeah, you can get it again.
Yeah.
So how long did you guys have it? How long did it actually last? Mayor Mrs. Walker?
I would say for me, it was about a week and a half to almost 2 weeks.
Okay.
Down and out.
Yeah, for me, it was about 3 weeks. Every time I went to go to see if I was negative, I was still positive. I was like, oh man, about a month and a half.
Wow. What about you guys, Marvell and Richard? How long did you have it?
Well, it took me about probably about a week and a half after my taste got back. I was able to eat and drink food, which helped a lot, but it took at least a month or so before I could really be myself. You know, it takes a while to get it out of your system. So I gave myself, before I even went out into the public again, other than going to the store, I gave myself about 3 months.
Wow.
And we were told at the emergency room, COVID-19 is in your body for up to 3 months. You would test. That's why they tell you not to go test again, because you're still positive. So people don't realize that, and so we heeded to that, not going anywhere, and just family members would bring stuff to us, and you know, and I guess for me it was about a month maybe. I just didn't feel good. I mean, it was just a lingering thing. Like the body aches took a while to go away. The headache took a while to go away. Just the being stuffy and all that, and not being able to get it up. And I probably should have called Patrick so I can use their pot, not the pot that he's talking about, his boiling pot. So I should have called Patrick and say,
you should have got some pots from Patrick.
There you go.
Yes. So thank you, Patrick. I'm gonna do that next time. I'm saying my lemon pills and my my orange pills and stuff, and I'm gonna start that regimen.
It was delicious. I mean, I would say the last thing too that we did, our doctor suggested we not just lay in the bed.
Right. Oh yeah.
We would devote time on the porches. We would separately go on the front and back porch. And then in the afternoons, like we'd walk. It's so funny because we would probably block the whole sidewalk, but we'd walk with distance in the afternoons. It was July and August for us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still warm, but we'd walk the afternoon just to not let it settle in us. And
right.
the combination of those things, we started feeling better. But I think Mayor Barry said, or his wife said, we were sick for, it seemed like a month, honestly. It wasn't 2 weeks. It wasn't 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to say hi to Deborah Breedlove, who shouts out his mayor and his lovely wife. Thank you, Deborah, so much for watching Coping with COVID, and want to thank everybody for watching. So you guys had it a couple of months. Are you still having any lingering after effects? I hear a lot of people say they still have problems with a little nagging cough, or they still have problems breathing. Any of you still have any lingering effects?
I still have a little nagging cough. But I went to the emergency room and they said I had bronchitis. So I thought it was probably a side effect from that, I guess. I'm not sure.
COVID. Yeah.
And I still have a little I get winded when I'm walking. So I try to kind of do that. And like I told you, they gave me an inhaler. So I'll take, 2 puffs of that when my when it feels like I'm congested or just my chest feels heavy.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you guys about the COVID vaccine. How do you feel about it, and will you take it? Because particularly in our community, in the African American community, there are people who have reasonable concerns, about healthcare, about vaccines, and there's a big push to make Black and brown people feel comfortable taking this vaccine because, as a whole, we are opposed to it. Do you guys have any thoughts about it?
I'm not opposed to it. As soon as I can, and as soon as my age group is ready to go, I'm ready to take it.
Mm-hmm.
I will be taking it on the 26th.
Okay.
At the VA.
Yeah.
So
we're taking it.
What did you say, Mayor Walker?
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and this vaccine was rapidly developed pretty quickly. But I can tell you, I'd rather take a chance and get something that's gonna lessen my severity of having COVID, going through what I went through again.
Yeah.
Because I think God gave me a chance to get through that first one. I'm not gonna give it a second chance.
Amen.
When I ain't going, I mean, if I got something that I can take that's gonna lessen me or make that COVID less of a problem for me, sign me up, especially with my pre-existing conditions.
Well, I want to piggyback
on meet with the community all the time.
Right.
I tell people to wear a mask, and I get cussed out because I passed an ordinance in Irmo that you're making me wear a mask and it's not doing any good. I said, well, look, I'm proof that I didn't wear a mask in my house and I got sick. So don't. That's deaf ears to me. I know it works. So.
Yeah, but it is doing good, because imagine what the numbers would be if there was not a mask ordinance in place.
Right.
That's what people I don't think are getting.
Mayor Barrett, thank you for getting that ordinance. I think we have one here in West Columbia as well. I look at it this way. I'm protecting you, and I want you to protect me. Wear your mask.
Right.
I was talking to some lady in Walmart, and I said, she was like, "Ooh, this mask getting on my nerves." I said, "Let me tell you this, ma'am." I said, "I've had COVID-19. I'd rather wear that mask than have COVID again." She said,
be on a ventilator.
And she said to me, "Nobody ever said that to me." And I said, "Well, I'm telling you, you need to wear your mask." And she was like, "I'm gonna start wearing it more often." I said, "Okay, thank you."
Yeah, because what's the alternative? Would you rather have the mask or be on a ventilator? Would you rather have the mask or not be here to tell the story? That's right. What about you guys, Patrick and Sherani? How do you feel about the vaccine, and what do you say to people who are anti-maskers?
We're taking it. We had our annuals at the end of last year, and I asked my doctor. I rarely take a flu shot. I took the flu shot.
Yeah.
And I asked, he gave his best advice. He couldn't tell me what to do, but he said, with your condition, I'm 46, Sherani's 47. He's like, I would suggest you guys take it. And even when it's available for the kids, to take it. Now, to Mayor Barry's point, I would rather try that than to go through it was a lonely, dark period.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Daniel Lake says, thank you for sharing your story. She says, very informative. And she says she appreciates the humor in it. And also Deborah Breedlove says, again, you wouldn't let a surgeon perform surgery without a mask.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Thank you all for your comments. What about the plasma treatment? Have you guys heard that they are collecting plasma from former people who have had COVID before to help those who have COVID. Have you or will you donate your plasma?
I haven't. This is my first hearing about it, Trey. I haven't heard about it.
Okay, yeah. They're collecting plasma from COVID survivors to help those who have COVID. There's a treatment.
If it can help somebody, I'm willing.
Yeah.
A long time ago, I used to donate blood, but I don't know, for some reason I've been kind of gotten out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go together, Miss Walker. Let's go together.
Well, I would if I could, but I've had prostate cancer, and they said once you have cancer, you can't do blood, so I can't do it.
Yeah, I want to piggyback a little bit on what you said, Mayor Walker, about, and that's what you hear a lot of people say, that they came up with the vaccine very early. But 5 years ago, when SARS came, they were actually, which COVID is a form of SARS, they started working on the vaccination 5 years ago. But then when they got COVID under control, or SARS under control, they stopped. So they had been researching it for years, and they just started back up with the research they had last year. So while it seems that it was a quick turnaround, it really was 5-6 years in the making. Hoover Johnson says that he just got over COVID and then says, please wear your mask. Hoover, thank you so much for your comment. I'm glad you're doing well. Because and like I said, big ups to you, Mayor Barry, because there are a lot of people, here in Columbia, people are getting on Mayor Benjamin. And we see it across the country, the people who are anti-maskers.
You'd be surprised how much, I don't know what it is, what group of people it is, but people just are evil about this, the government telling them to do something.
Right.
I'm like, look, we're not telling you to do something because we're being, nefarious or anything.
Right.
Something to save your life and save my life. You breathing on me, God, and we by doing it, you can probably save yourself from catching it.
Yeah. Hey, I have to tell people still to now. I need my space. Can I get my 6 feet? You need to back up. Because and this lady looked at me like, who are you talking to? I was like, ma'am, I'm not trying to be rude, but I've had COVID-19. I need you to back up. Give me my 6 feet. You can give me 8 if you want to, but no. Right.
Are all of you as vocal as Marvell? Are you guys vocal like that, Sherani? Listen, we laugh about it, and it sounds funny, but it's very real.
Yeah. I don't think people believe that it's. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marvell.
No, go ahead. I was just saying I still want my 6, Patrick.
I still, so we shared on social media because in our friend circle and in our Facebook world, there were still Black folks that were non-believers.
Yes.
So for me, it was, we talked about it, that it was important just to, we made it. We survived it, just to make people knew us. We knew people, just like to say, listen, I know y'all believe this is something that's happening over there.
Right.
It's happening to people that and people, this is true story. I probably had 100 calls or text messages from people that reached out and said, thanks for sharing that. I think I have a tickle in my throat. What should I do? And my response always, I would text back, go get tested. Go get tested. People who didn't believe that it could happen to them. And several of them, and this is good or bad, several of them have subsequently been found, had positive tests, but I don't know. I just thought it was important for us, if God allowed us to get through it, so people understand this is not something in Hollywood.
Right.
It's everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
And that was my thing too, just to make sure that, everybody knew. And like Patrick said, I don't think they realize how the seriousness of it until it hit their own home. And I don't think we realized this. Now we were being cautious. Now he went to Alabama, but we was being cautious as far as being home and staying home and wearing the mask and washing the hands and doing all that, spraying everything down with Lysol and all that. And when it hit our home and hit us, we were like, if we make it through this, we have to tell the story of how we made it over, because it could have been the other way, because there's so many family members, like I said, who have family members who have passed away from COVID-19 alone.
Yeah.
And that saddens me.
Yeah. Hoover Johnson says that he's very vocal, and Tiffany Myers says, yes, people must respect your space. I heard somebody, Mrs. Walker, were you trying to chime in here?
Yeah,
a
friend of mine passed away yesterday, and they tried to call home to get the body picked up, and they said we don't have room. And I'm like, you don't have? Yeah, so we got all these COVID bodies that we're dealing with right now. Please call another funeral home.
Wow.
To see if they can pick the body up. I mean, that's how serious this is. And
this
is in Colombia, in Irmo. It's not some other foreign land.
Right. In China or Japan or overseas somewhere.
When you die and the funeral home can't come and get your loved one because they're booked up or they're full, that's a serious problem. And I don't want to.
That is a serious problem. Yeah.
If I had to add anything else, Trey, I would say for people who are watching or listening who have children, you know, our children are 15 and 13, and they want to do what I want to do at 15 and 13, play with your friends, go to the mall. You know, we've had to parent a little differently because they just don't quite understand, right?
Yeah.
So who ask everyone to have them here and sick at the school. But allowing parents to be flexible, this is a different environment for parenting your kids, but you still got to, my mother would always say, you got to think for them until they can think for themselves.
That's
and
right.
That's really
right.
for children.
Yeah. Patrick and Sherani Patterson, Marvell Mendenhall, and Richard Bell, Mayor Barry, and Susan Walker. Thank you guys so much for sharing your stories, for coming here, for surviving this, and for recognizing that it is our responsibility, if we know better, not only to do better, but then to tell somebody else too. So if do you guys have any closing, anything else you want to share as we wrap up the interview today?
I just like to say, get tested. Do what you need to do. Make sure that you, again, wear your mask, wash your hands, make sure that you're looking out for not only you, but for the person that's next to you.
Yeah. Mayor Walker?
Please get the shot when it comes out. Get that vaccine.
Yes.
I know it's been done real quick. It's been done. They didn't really test it out, but I tell you that when I see the president of the United States take it, and I know that he's probably got better health care than I do.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm gonna line up. Give it to me when you give it a chance.
Yeah. All right. Mayor Barry Walker and Mrs. Susan Walker, Irmo Mayor, and Marvell Mendenhall and Richard Bell, Patrick and Sherani Patterson. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And thank you. So glad that you're doing so much better. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. All right. Thank you, Sue, too, for joining us today on our Coping with COVID. Please continue to post and share this message out so we can get it to the masses, whether you're watching it live or in the replay. Now, if you have a story or an initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go to the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook and inbox me. I would love to talk to you. Also, if you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. You see the information scrolling at the bottom of the screen, copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. I would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Media Connections, Agape Counseling and Training Centers, In It Together, and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, who sponsor Wellness Wednesday. Speaking of Wellness Wednesday, next week, we're going to talk about walking to health. Also, next Thursday, Deanna Berry is running for mayor of Denmark. We'll talk to her and talk to Avetta Glover and the folks at the NAACP. They have a housing assistance program that you want to hear about. And then 1 week from today, on Faith Friday, we continue our New Year, New You initiative with taking care of your business, how to revamp and get your business professionally back up and running, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you work from home. That's with Betty Parker. That's coming up next on Coping with COVID. As always, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling, unless any of our guests, I see Marvell and Patrick are still there. I'm going to ask them, did either of you want to share something inspirational? If not, I'm going to read my Jesus Calling. But if you want to share something, I'd love for you to.
Go right ahead, Trey.
All right. Let me read my Jesus calling then. All right. Today, it's January 22nd. Jesus says, strive to trust me in more and more areas of your life. Anything that tends to make you anxious is a growth opportunity. Instead of running away from these challenges, embrace them, eager to gain all of the blessings I have hidden in all of the difficulties. If you believe that I am sovereign over every aspect of your life, it's possible to trust me in every situation. Don't waste energy regretting the way things are or thinking about what might have been. Start at the present moment, accepting things exactly as they are, and search for my way in the middle of those circumstances. Trust is like a staff you can learn on as you journey uphill with me. If you're trusting me consistently, the staff will bear as much of your weight as needed. Lean on, trust, and be confident in me, Jesus says, with all of your heart and all of your mind. That's your Jesus calling for today, January 22nd. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you again so much for watching. Until then, I wish you peace, abundant blessings. I encourage you to stay safe and please wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. Have a great weekend.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.